The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com, that's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we help hundreds of advisors across the United States, whether they be CPAs, attorneys, or other insurance professionals with your insurance needs. We are specialists in the area of life insurance, annuities, disability, and long-term care, and we help you put together your financial team if you don't have one. And certainly we go over and make sure you have the proper coverage to protect your family and your loved ones. And today, very fortunate to have with me, once again, we've had him once before, Tom Palmieri. Tom, say hello.
Good to see you, Neil. How you been?
Good, Tom. You know, I want to go through, Tom, tell us where you work and what you do. And
I've been in the insurance investment business for going on 40 years now. In November, it'll be my 40th, completion of my 40th year.
Fantastic.
I had 20 years with MetLife, 2 years with National Life of Vermont, and the rest now with Guardian Life Insurance, and I work in Melville, New York.
Excellent. And where did we meet, Tom? We met you, 20 years ago?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I don't know the exact day, but I know that you were very involved in the professional association. I think we met at the Desmond up in Albany.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk. I mean, we had fun playing pool that night, and yes. Some of the best friendships I have are my NAIFA friendships. You know, the NAIFA is the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. I was blessed, Neil. When I first came into the business back in November of 1984, I had a manager then at the time, Bob Master Simone. And when I was completing my application for MetLife, he handed me an application for, it was then NALU, it wasn't called NAIFA at the time. And he says, you're going to join. And I looked at him, I said, do I have to? And he said to me very smart, he says, do you want to get paid on Friday? I said, yep. So here I am 40 years later, part of my professional association, and I've met so many great people, and you're just one of many.
And this associate, see, what I like about you and me as well, I mean, we're both leaders in the organization, but we both are very engaged in what the organization does. So just, you have a bar association. You have NAIFA, which is our bar association for insurance professionals. Tell us a little bit about NAIFA. I know since you've been leaders for so long, you can go through the history. I can go through the history.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in 40 years. But I'll keep it down. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Basically, the way I look at it is exactly what you said. Would you be an attorney and not be part of your bar association? Would you be a CPA and not part of your CPA society? I would think not. Would you be a doctor and not part of the American Medical Association? Probably not a doctor that I want to have operating on me. And so the key thing that I find with NAIFA is that we really are, each company has great individual training, but you and I live by a code. There's a professional code of how we will deal with people. Long before there was ever best interest, long before there was any suitability, our code in our professional conduct was spelled out for us from day one. And it basically says, do the right thing by people.
Right.
Do as if you were dealing with your mom and dad, your brother and sister, and hopefully you love those people.
Right.
So,
well, I love that. But there's another thing that's important to me. And 140 years this organization has been around. We have the number one tax protected product in the universe. Nobody else has it. It's called life insurance. And the beautiful thing about life insurance is it grows tax deferred. You could take the money out tax-free, and you have a tax-free death benefit. Now, if it wasn't for NAIFA and for 140 years of lobbying like you do, like I do, going to the state, going to the federal, and protecting consumers of these protections, that's what NAIFA does, is we protect you and these products. That's one huge example. And believe me, how many times a day is the government asking for money and trying to tax this and trying to tax that and trying? But we've been able to maintain that by this organization, been able to protect the consumer for having this unbelievable, I'll call it a product, but an unbelievable, the biggest thing that we can do to protect families.
Well, I think you hit the key word on the head, and that is we protect the consumer. Although we're part of a professional association, every time you and I have been up in Albany or down in D.C. and we're lobbying, we're not lobbying for our own individual interest. No. We're lobbying for issues that help fellow Americans. Like you and I were down there a couple of years ago, and there's more and more people that didn't need to touch their retirement accounts right away. So with us lobbying for the Secure Act and pushing back the RMDs, that helped a lot of people.
Yeah, sure did.
You know, the fact that you talk about the life insurance, a quick fact is over the last 4 years, I've sadly had to service over 75 death claims.
Wow.
Well, I've been in the business 40 years.
I understand,
and so
but that's still insane.
When I saw somebody when I was 22 and they're 50, they're now 90. So, you know, how long do we think people are going to get down the road? But I have learned that not only are you talking about the inside buildup of life insurance being so important, what people fail to recognize it's great to leave a 401k to your kids. It's great to leave an asset to your kids. But one of the best assets by far is life insurance because it comes in income tax free. If it's past the 2-year look back period or contestable period, these checks are written in 5 days. And we represent the fact that people stay in school. We represent that the business doors stay open and that their employees are still employed. So that's what my passion is.
You know, and I applaud you because delivering that check is what it does for families and people is huge. One of my early experiences in this industry was I had gone to a funeral of one of my kids' friends. Their father passed. He worked at Brookhaven Labs, and as we left the funeral, my wife had an attitude, and it's like, "What's the matter?" She says, "I'm angry." He says, "Why are you angry?" And she said, "Because he really left his family in a bad situation."
It's terrible.
Okay, and I internally said to myself, "Well, damn it, I'm angry at myself because I never brought up to that friend. I was new in the business about life insurance. I didn't bring it up to him and say, this is what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do, but, you know, people think, oh, you sell life insurance. It's a noble profession. We help people.
It is an extremely noble profession, Neil, but what happens is, let's face it, there's good people in this world and there's bad people in this world. There's good salespeople in the world that are consultative and really help and desire to help their clients. And there's people that just care about themselves, and that's why somebody should have a code of ethics in how they work with someone. And so what I find is that I had a similar situation. My mother lost her husband. I had met him a few times in my life, and I got a phone call, and it was a state trooper said that my mom was involved in a fatal car accident, and your knees go out from under you. You know, you're like, oh my God. And then he says, oh, your mom's okay, but her husband died. And I said, officer, next time you might want to lead with that as the first sentence you say, because I thought my mom had died. Yeah. And I went to the funeral, and everybody says, oh, he must have insurance. You work with MetLife. And it was from that point on that I would call every one of my family and friends and say, listen, I was thinking of you last night. And everybody goes, what were you thinking about? Well, a lot of times it was because I drove by their house going to see a client that was a complete stranger.
Right.
And I put together plans for their kids' college education and for their retirement and to protect any risk that might cause a bump in the road in any one of those scenarios. And I had to get back in the car and drive past my friend's house, realizing that I never offered to help him. So I'd call up a friend and say, look, your friendship means more to me than when they become a client. I just want to make sure that you and your family are taken care of.
And I know that about you, and I feel the same way. And it really hits home when people say, "Oh, I don't," it's not like we're selling things. We're really protecting you and the consumer, and that's huge. Long-term care and some of the other products that we represent are there because we're in an industry that protects and loves people. And I know that's what you do, Tom, every day. And Tom, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, my cell phone number is 917-442-8026. I'm also, you can look me up on LinkedIn, Thomas Palmieri. I work with Forest Hills Financial Group.
Fantastic. And you're listening to the Main Street Code. And if you want to get a hold of me, 631-647-4694. Or you can always look at my website, themainstreetcode.com. You can check out some of the past episodes or on Apple or Spotify if you happen to miss me. And we'll be right back after a commercial break. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. If you've been listening to me before the break, I'm here with my good friend Tom Palmieri. Tom and I both share in the passion of life and the passion of business. And Tom, I can't say this enough. I love Tom. Tom, he puts his heart and soul into everything he does, not just NAIFA we talked about, which is our professional organization. He's very active in the Rotary, very active family man, works in a soup kitchen on Saturday.
14 years.
14 years. That's who Tom is. And that's how he is with his clients. And he was telling me, during the break, and which I know is true. We live and die with our clients. We share in their joy in their life and in helping them and protecting them. And Tom, you've been doing this for 40 years, and I bless you, man. You're a fantastic guy.
I actually fell into the insurance business because I didn't, I don't think people grow up saying, "Hey, I want to be an insurance agent."
We all do.
But what happened is I graduated from St. Joe's College back in '84. I had human relations with a minor in business, and then said, "Okay, now I got all this degree. Now what do I go do?"
Great.
And I went for a couple of interviews, and the second interview ended up being with MetLife. And I just was so blessed to have the right manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was so blessed to have somebody that really cared about doing the right thing for people. And I always go out of the way to say hello to Mr. Bob Master Simone because he was a phenomenal role model.
Excellent. Excellent. Now let's talk about like a great thing that other insurance professionals and accountants and attorneys can join us for an event that we put together with NAIFA right here on Long Island. And I know I have a lot of insurance agents that listen to the show and refer to it, which is interesting, even though we don't go into technical stuff there. But we got an unbelievable meeting coming up.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first off, before we start that, I know Neil from the Professional Association, but he's also one of the top brokerage managers here on Long Island. And if you have a product and a need that can't be fit, I would say give Neil a shot because he knows what he's doing. The other thing that I say before we talk about this program is Neil is out on the forefront in the legislative issues trying to make sure that product availability is what it should be in New York. There's companies that just simply won't do business here in New York because of all the onerous regulations. So I commend Neil for that. But when Neil says we have a program, we have a program coming up, but Neil's the one that's running it. And Neil's the one he has the magic touch when it comes to coming to these meetings. And basically, for the first time in over a decade, we're going to have the New York State Convention of NAIFA here down on Long Island at the Marriott. And it's going to be September 9th and 10th. And September 9th is going to be a cocktail social where we can get together. We had a recent merge with the Long Island chapter of the Financial Service Professionals as well as with NAIFA, and we're going to get everybody together for a social. We have people coming up from national to help support, and Neil has done a tremendous job with bringing in sponsorships. And then the next day, he's got a program here. I can't wait to see Delvin Joyce. This will be actually the third time I'll see Delvin Joyce. Delvin Joyce is a retired New York giant, and he's in the financial service business. And he talks about the whole idea of stick-to-itiveness. And I guess my idea of stick-to-itiveness was about a month ago I was in a meeting in my firm, and Neil, they said, "Hey, what's your plan B? And I looked at her, I go, I don't know what you're talking about. And she looked at me, she goes, what do you mean? I go, my plan B is for plan A to work. There is no plan B.
Well, that's interesting because Delvin means a lot to me. First off, when I met him, I'm like shocked. I'm vertically challenged, but I mean, he's like 5'4" and 165 pounds.
He's a cuter version of Tiki Barber.
And I said to myself, holy, and you made it to to play for the NFL as a punt returner? I mean, where you got 300-pound, 400-pound guys running after you? I'm going, wow. And he was undrafted in college, and he made it to professional and survived. But the next amazing thing that I love about him is he pivoted. He pivoted in the financial services, and he didn't just pivot. He got a CLU, CHSC. He got all the requirements, became a manager, and actually started a whole second career and exceeded in it. You know,
yeah, he's a phenomenal person.
And that blows my mind. So he's a great motivational speaker. We're going to have some legislative stuff going on.
Yeah, you have Assemblyman Stern come into the meeting.
Assemblyman Stern, who was with a nice elder law firm.
Yeah, he's
very much. I would say is an advocate.
Absolutely, he's very attuned with the financial issues
of his constituents on the financial issues and understands our issues. You know. We like to say issues. We're fighting to keep product in New York and, you know, maximize, you know, tax deductions, everything else with the products we have, whether it's long-term care, which I'm very passionate about, as you know, disability insurance, which is so I'm very we're all passionate about our products because they're all unique and they do things for people. I don't care. You meet CFP, oh, they have this big thing, certified financial planner, and I'm going to invest this and invest. There's more to planning than investing your money.
Or rate of return.
Yeah. Okay? Thank you. It's not about that. It's about, yes, the investments are part of it. They're not the most important part. Well, they are an important part.
Because they're not, the investments usually, while the investments can go down prior to someone's retirement, which really does hurt their portfolio, that's not the risk that kills them. The risk that kills them is maybe that Mack truck. Go figure. Somebody might be on their cell phone and takes you out in the car one day.
Or you get cancer, or you know, you fall down a mountain. You know, so many things can happen.
I've seen clients that they were worried about how am I going to pay my mortgage payment. They're looking up at that hospital ceiling, going, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" And I walk in with my stupid, reassuring smile, and they know that how the payment's going to get paid.
Hey,
you have the disability insurance.
I had a situation 14 years ago where I thought I might have lymphoma or something. It turns out I had an autoimmune, and I was just restarting my business for one reason or another. I don't want to go into it now, but my kids were both in college, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to run my business? That was my thought.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't worried about surviving. I was worried about keeping my business afloat. And my two kids in college, are they going to have to stay home from college and take care of me? I mean, these are real issues that happen to real people, you and me, every day in everyone's life. So that's a big part of it. Then we have other speakers.
Well, you have. I see that you have Rob Fishman here from Sandler Institute, and I've seen him. Through the grace of other meetings.
He's been on our show recently too.
He is phenomenal in terms of, again, what is he teaching us to do? He's teaching us how to gather facts in the right way to make people feel confident that the plans that we're putting together are their plans, and that it's through a collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
Of talking together and working things out. And you said earlier, passion. We find out what our clients' goals are, and we become as passionate about those goals for them
Absolutely.
as they are for themselves. We become their cheerleaders. And there's nothing better. In my 40 years, yes, sadly, I've had some clients pass. But, there's nothing better than a client calls you up and says, "Hey, Tom, I'm really thinking about retiring. Can we actually do this?"
Right.
And when you sit with them and you say, "Well, look, we got this in place and we got that in place and you got this in place, and guess what? Not only can we do this, we can do it with a smile. Right. You can do this without worry. We have money set apart to pay your bills, and we have money set aside for discretionary issues. You got a destination wedding, you want to go on a cruise, do whatever you want to do. But proper planning is key, and finding someone that you can be comfortable with and trust is really key to that.
And coordinating all your people together, whether you have an
Absolutely.
attorney, an accountant, you all want them working for you and as part of your team. And if you don't have a team, like I say every day, let me help put together a team for you that's going to work for you. And listen, everybody's situation is completely different. There is no cookie cutter approach. There is no template. Oh, he's one of these category. I hate people that put people in categories. Everybody's got their own stuff.
Well,
everybody's got parents, kids, this, that, situations.
There's no one road to Rome.
You got it. So September 9th, cocktail party for any financial professionals that like to come, September 10th. And in addition to those speakers you mentioned, we have some national speakers on some somewhat technical stuff, but stuff that'll help people in their daily lives and businesses. I can't wait. Lunch.
It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be fantastic. Tom, thank
And
you so much for being here.
You even
today.
have our lobbyists coming in to give a presentation. You got Murph coming in from.
Oh yes, we have lobbyists that we hire as NAIFA, and they're going to talk about some of the things that are going on today at the state and federal level that affect our livelihood. But ultimately, our livelihood is affected by how things work with you. So we're trying to protect you, and that's what we do. Tom, how can they get a hold of you once again?
Tom Palmieri, 917-442-8026. Or just go to Forest Hills Financial Group, look up my name, I'm in there.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or